Authority is constructed and contextual. What that means is that information resources reflect their creator's expertise and credibility and are evaluated based on the information need and the context in which the information will be used. Authority is constructed in that various communities may recognize different types of authority. It's contextual in that the information need may help to determine the level of authority required. So when we think about how authority is constructed, there are a lot of different ways that somebody could earn the authority that they hold. So one of those ways is that they could study for many, many years, right? Like a doctor would. You can also have authority sort of granted to you by virtue of your position in your job or in governance. Somebody who is, say, a chef might have years of hands-on practice. They might also have educational training. So there's lots of different ways that you can get to the same place. And you can be an expert on something based on your personal experience, right? So the authority in a particular topic is constructed. Different contexts require different kinds of authority. For example, when you're learning from a teacher, you want to know that that person is an authority on the topic that they are teaching you about. But if I was to hike through a dangerous forest, I would want somebody who had a lot of experience hiking through that dangerous forest. In a kitchen, it depends where you are, right? So the context is everything. If I'm at home in my own kitchen, I actually think I'm a pretty good cook. But in an industrial kitchen or on a line in a busy kitchen, I would not be good at that. So that would not work out, right? Like I don't have that kind of authority. And then in government, our elected officials, we hope that they have an authority on the things that they need to know about in that particular context. So all of these contexts are different when it comes to the different kinds of authority that work in each of them, right? So like context, situation, you get the idea. So how do you use this frame to better understand information? You ask questions before you read, ask questions as you read, consider authority as you look for sources to use in your research project, and be clear when you incorporate sources with different kinds of authority into your paper. So what kind of questions should you ask before you read? Questions like, who is the author of this piece? What are their qualifications, right? This might actually require that you do a little bit of Googling outside of just looking at the source that you found on the subject that you're interested in. How did they gain their authority? Did they go to school for a number of years? Do they have a lot of life experience? Questions to ask as you read include, how has the construction and context of the author's experience shaped the way that they're presenting this information, right? So like the way that they got their authority, whether it's through education or through personal experience, how has that shaped the way that they're talking about their subject? What are the limitations of the author's expertise, right? So you could be a book nerd and not know a whole lot about life on the street, or you could live on the street and not know a whole lot about the data that also impacts your daily existence. And has the construction or context of their expertise resulted in any bias, right? So you want to look for that, and knowing where their authority comes from and how it was constructed will help you to figure that out. You want to also consider authority as you look for sources to use in your research project. Be skeptical. Do not accept sources or authors at face value. Just because somebody sounds authoritative doesn't mean that they actually are, right? Do your research about your research. Go figure out if they actually have the authority to be making the kinds of claims that they're making. You want to consider the context in which you're using the information, right? So is the author's expertise actually sufficient to use in a college research paper? And always remember that the quality and authority of your paper depends on the quality and authority of your sources. And you always want to be clear when you incorporate sources with different kinds of authority into your research paper. You want to explain how the source's authority was constructed, if that's relevant. Connect the context of that authority to the argument that you're trying to make, and make sure that you're citing all of your sources accurately.